there, welcome to the UkeStuff channel and welcome to this full UkeGuide review of this instrument. This is the Lohanu LU-C Concert Ukulele. What we're going to do in this video is, first of all, we'll look at some subjective categories that we look at with all instruments. Then we will look at the specifications, then I'll summarize it and give it a UkeGuide rating out of 5 possible ukuleles. If you are interested, you can jump to any part of the video using the chapters below or the chapters feature in YouTube. And if you don't want to hear me talk about it, you can just go straight to ukestuff.info or ukeguide.info. Ukeguide.info is a shortcut, and pull up the single one-page summary of everything that I'm going to say in this video. Now, about this instrument, I had bugged Lohanu for years, sending emails saying, hey, would you let me review one of yours for review? Would you let me review one of yours? Would you be willing to sell me one at a discount? They never responded to me. So I managed to finally buy this one off of Goodwill at a decent price, so I can now review it. Sometimes I just don't want to pay full price to review an instrument that I know that I'm not going to be keeping. Just because I have so many great ukuleles, I don't need a ton of sort of these entry-level laminates on hand. Doesn't mean that it's a bad instrument, just means that I have such better instruments available that why would you keep so many? And already I need to pare it down. So that is what we're going to be doing in this video, and let's begin with the subjective categories. First of all is cost. Currently, as this video is being made, these sell for $70, but there is like a $5 Amazon coupon, and you buy them from Amazon. So if you are interested in one of these, they are out there. We'll talk about that with availability later. In terms of value, it's a pretty good value. It's a decent instrument with a great kit. And I'm just going to pull it up here myself just so I can visually tell you everything that's in it. You get some plastic picks, not a fan of those. You get some extra Aquila strings, you know, the white strings. I would try other strings on that. That's the one thing I would change. But anyway, you get that. You get video lessons that they've created for you. You get a tuner. They give you a little paracord hanging strap that you can put around your tuners and then hang it on the wall on a single hook. You get a neck strap now because they now put strap buttons on. This is an older one, so it doesn't have strap buttons, but the new ones do. And you get a leather pick. And you also get this gig bag. At one point, this sort of gig bag was, you know, more than you got with a lot of companies. Now it's a little bit behind the game. So other companies like Acklot actually give you a much better gig bag with some of their instruments. Not all of them, but with some of them. So I would love to see Lohanu step up their bag sort of game a bit. That would be nice. It works. It's functional for a laminate ukulele, but it would be nice to have, again, the hanging part on the back, the little, you know, loop to hang with. It'd be nice to have more padding in your bag. It'd be nice to have a nicer pocket. You know, the rubber bumper on the bottom. The things that the other companies are doing, you know, double backpack straps, sort of a padded handle. That'd be nice to see on this. So that's the one area where the bag is letting down the product at this point, which is really silly to say for an instrument where it's really not supposed to be about the bag. It's supposed to be about the instrument. But that's what we're looking at today. So again, the value does exceed the price. If you buy one of these, you're getting your money's worth and more when you buy one of these, not only with the kit, but with the instrument itself. Now, the build quality. Overall, it's, you know, really nicely made. You've got the binding, which not all companies do anymore. You get the purfling, you know, the stripes on the inside. You get an etched rosette. These are all like, some of these are appearance issues too. You get a bound fretboard, although there are a couple sharp fret ends on the bottom here that I'll have to take a look at before I sell this. You get side position markers, closed geared tuners, a little slightly different shaped headstock. You do get the Lohanu logo with the heart, which may not appeal to all people. But overall, really, the build quality is well put together. They do a pretty good job of matching the wood colors. I mean, you can obviously see the joint that is there. You can see the joint that's up here. But, you know, it's an attractive laminate. There are some laminates that I've seen that are far less attractive than this one. The stripiness, the book matching is well done, and of course an arched back. So the build quality is quite well done. On the inside, I can already tell you that there's some extra glue, but other than that, it's pretty well built. So let's go do that. Let's take a look at the inside of the instrument. All right, let's go inside. First of all, you notice that it is a laser etched label out of wood. That's kind of a nice touch. But let's look down here and see what we can see on the inside. All right, looking straight down at the ukulele, you can see that there are screws holding in the bridge. That can be a positive or a negative. I've recently seen a Mitchell ukulele where the bridge ripped off of a student's ukulele. So that may help with that, especially if it's not glued quite right. But you can see fan bracing, traditional fan bracing here on the soundboard. You can see notch kerfing, and overall, generally, a pretty clean build. You can see the quality of the laminate, which is just fine. And you can again see that bridge plate on the top. So there's not a whole lot to see down here. It's generally a pretty clean build. A little bit of extra glue spill down that seam right there. All right, let's look at the upper bout. All right, looking at the upper bout here, you can see a little bit of extra glue here and there, but you've got your notch kerfing, your horizontal brace. There is your neck block. They get across here, a little bit of extra glue over there as well. But notch kerfing, traditional build, generally pretty clean. And that's our quick look at the inside of the Lohanu LU-C Concert Ukulele. All right, so in terms of build quality, yeah, you're definitely getting your money's worth with the quality of the build there as well. Now, in terms of appearance, there's a lot to like here if you like a traditionally styled ukulele, if you like the binding, if you like the bound fretboard, if you like the purfling, if you like the closed geared tuners, if you like the shape of the headstock, if you like the logo with the heart. May not appeal to everybody. That's not really my thing, but I also wouldn't not play this ukulele because of it. So overall, the appearance is really traditional for the most part, and I think will appeal to most buyers. In terms of availability, if you want one of these, you can order one right now from Amazon for under $70 as I record this video. In terms of playability, the action is a bit higher than I like, but otherwise it's a very standard imported Chinese ukulele with a 35mm nut, narrow string spacing, and thick C-shaped neck. So it's, general experience of a 35mm nut ukulele. Again, the action is a bit higher than I like. Now, in terms of sound quality, I think the sound is really pretty decent here. It's a standard laminate tone, but even with the Aquila strings, it has some brightness. Still, it's more dark. It's balanced, it's pleasing, but I would try other strings. I'm a fluorocarbon guy, so I'd be putting fluorocarbons like Martin M600s on this immediately, or Oasis Brights, or Worth Clears, or something. I would move away from the Aquilas, not because I don't like Aquilas, but just because I like the sound of a fluorocarbon. Or even Aquila sugar strings I would try, although you generally have a squeak until that fades off on those strings as well. So the sound quality I think is good. It's louder. It's not the loudest I've heard, but it's certainly more punchy than many that I've played. And it has a warm laminate sound with some high end and some decent sustain. It's not overly boxy. It's not caught in the instrument. And there's some sustain really on the low end of the ukulele. Now, one of the things I do in these videos is I let you see what I'm hearing by playing the ukulele into the app Tonal Energy Tuner. So I play the C chord into the app and record myself playing it, and then let you see what I'm hearing. So here we go. C chord into a GCA instrument. Yeah, there are definitely some overtones happening, and there's definitely a lot of sustain on the low end of this one, more so than many other laminates that I've played. So they've done a pretty good job with the sound here. And again, maybe these are all made in the same factories. In fact, we're pretty sure that there's only like 3 or 4 factories in China making most of these instruments. But they do, I think, make them to different specifications using slightly different materials depending on what the company requests and expects for their deliveries. And again, this is an older model, so maybe things have changed a little bit. But nonetheless, yeah, I'm impressed by the sound. Playability is fine. The appearance is very classic overall, although you might not like the rosette or you might not like the logo. and it's a good value. So overall, in all these areas of subjective, sort of categories, it's a pretty pleasing ukulele. Now that we've talked about those subjective categories, let's get into specifications. It is a concert ukulele with a scale length of exactly 15 inches. It has 18 frets, 14 to the body, and it does have side position markers, which are really easy to see on that bound edge, which is nice. The body style is a traditional double bout with binding and purfling. The soundboard is laminate mahogany, as are the back and sides, and I think it's a pretty attractive mahogany as well, laminate mahogany, and it does have a nice arch back, as you can see in the lights there, that arch back there, which is another feature that helps, I think, the sound a little bit. The fretboard is rosewood. It is a bound fretboard, but it is not a radius fretboard. It's a flat fretboard, which is what you'd expect, and it's a rosewood bridge with a tie bar style bridge. The nut and saddle are bone. It is not a compensated saddle. It's just flat across. And the finish is a satin finish, sort of a shiny satin. Overall, it's 24.25 inches long because of the bump here on the headstock, and it weighs 1 pound, 0.9 ounces, which is pretty light for a concert ukulele. It has closed geared sealed tuners, and I think I took off one of the white things just to see if it said Lohanu on it. It doesn't, so it's unbranded, but closed sealed geared tuners. And the action of the first fret is a little bit too high for me, 0.75 millimeters at the first fret, and it is 3 millimeters, a little bit too high there at the 12th fret. The nut width is 34.50 millimeters, so it's under 35 millimeters, and the spacing of the strings at the first fret is pretty tight, 8.67 millimeters between each string at the first fret, which turns out to be 29 millimeters exactly G to A. And again, sometimes the strings aren't quite even from each other. Hard to see that until you get out, a digital caliper and measure it. So still at 29 millimeters, it's tight string spacing. If you have large hands, you may not like it. And the depth of the neck at the third fret is 21.62 millimeters from the top of the strings to the bottom of the neck. There's nothing special about measuring at the third fret. I just decided to start measuring there just so I have a common place to measure all these instruments. It is a very thick C-shaped neck, and if there were anything that I was going to change in this instrument, I would probably personally take away the heart on the Lohanu logo, and then I would change the shape of the neck, just like I would with most import Chinese ukuleles, a little bit, make it a little more flat, and then I would actually make the nut and neck just a touch wider too. And those are the things that I would change with it. Other than that, I'm not sure I would change much else on this ukulele at this price point as an entry-level ukulele. All right, now that we've talked about the instrument, let's get into the summary and rating of the instrument. Lohanu has been around since I started playing ukulele, and for a long time they represented a value on Amazon, and I think they may have even been paying for their spot in Amazon where they're being reviewed. With that said, that doesn't make it a bad instrument. And I know other people have reviewed this. Barry Maz reviewed one of these on God Ukulele some time ago. I had been bugging the company to see if I could get a review unit or buy one at a discount, and they never responded to me. So that's a personal negative to me. At least send me an email to say, hey, thanks for considering us, but we're not going to do that. At least respond. That's what I would say. If somebody's asking to review an ukulele, then at least tell them that, no, we aren't going to do that, but thank you for considering us, and maybe watch for one on sale, or we'll email you and we're going to have a sale or something like that. That's what I would like to see as a response from a company if somebody's setting up a review of your instrument, because hopefully that review leads to future sales. I mean, right? That's the whole point of having somebody review an instrument, is so that it gets out there more, and then people also have a reference point. Unless you're afraid of your instrument being reviewed, and Lohanu has nothing to be afraid of here. So the instrument comes with a really good kit, one of the better kits that I've seen on the market, with the exception of the bag today. The bag is still a 2016 bag when the bag game was up somewhere around 2020 by most of the companies. The ukulele has some nice features like a bound fretboard. It has a clean build, nice sound. The only thing that's negative for me is the action, which is a little bit too high, and maybe Lohanu has addressed that since this was reviewed. Now, that all said, I would recommend this ukulele, absolutely, although you might need to take it to a luthier to have it set up and lowered a little bit so it's a little bit easier to play. You would need to check that on a new one to see if perhaps Lohanu has addressed the action of an instrument over time as they continue to make these. I know they now add strap buttons as well, which again is a change from what they used to do, such as this one. There's no idea when this one was made, but it's still in really, really good shape, even coming used from a Goodwill. All right, so what I do is I give ukuleles a rating between 0 and 5 ukuleles. This one, really because of the letdown of the bag, I'm going to give a 4 out of 5. And also because of the high action, those two issues more than anything else are negatives for me. So if this came with a slightly better gig bag and if the action were spot on, it would be like a 4.5 or a 5 depending on the price that you got it at. So still, 4, very, very safe buy. If you're okay with a couple of the design features in it, and if the action is good on the one that you get, and again, action I'm looking for is 0.5 at the first fret and no more than 2.75 at the 12th, and that's at the high end at the 12th. If your action is there, then absolutely, no problems with that. If the action is not good, plan on some extra money to have that set up if you don't know how to do it yourself, and go carefully. You can set up an ukulele by yourself, but go carefully if you do, because if you mess it up, then you're going to spend quite a bit more to repair the things that you messed up, lowering the saddle or lowering the nut, whatever you have to do. So just, make that decision carefully. Don't be afraid of it, but be aware that if you mess it up, you're going to spend even a little more having a luthier solve the problem that you created versus just having a luthier just set it up in the first place. And make sure that your luthier knows what they're doing with the ukuleles, because not all luthiers really understand and play ukulele that much, or even work on ukuleles that much. All right, that's it. So thanks for joining me for this video and this review of the Lohanu LU-C. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll be back soon with some more uke stuff for you.